morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
How you doing, dude?
Yeah, I'm good. Obviously, very cold up here.
Oh, it's cold down here, mate. Trust me, it's freezing.
You know it's cold when you actually put the heater on.
Yeah. I'm going into the garden, obviously, with the new pup, and I'm literally got 4 layers just to try and stay warm. But fuck me, it's cold.
Don't blame you.
No, exactly.
Blankets, jumpers on jumpers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's the only place we can go now because obviously we're back in lockdown, unfortunately.
Yeah, sadly we are, but obviously we're here to keep you company. So let's start going through that game week.
I think we should. Yeah, it was a cracking game week. Let's start. Everton 0, West Ham 1, and obviously we saw big Thomas Souček grab the late winner.
Yeah, obviously he's in your team, so
yes.
A little bit gutting for me, especially considering I nearly brought him in a couple of weeks ago for Lookman, but had other priorities. But I was really happy with this based on the fact that I own 2 West Ham defenders. So I brought in Ogbonna this week for, what's his name? Oh, I've completely blanked on the Charlie Taylor. Took out Charlie Taylor. So I was going to do Taylor to Luton move. Obviously heard the news about Burnley being potentially called off.
Yep.
Didn't want to take the risk. Went to Ogbonna. Paid off.
Nice.
0.1 million off of Cresswell, though, might I add, who is obviously the better pick, but...
Yeah, got the assist, didn't he? So
yeah, a lot of points for big haul for Cresswell.
No, it's interesting because obviously both me and you moved off of either Burnley assets or away from the idea of Burnley assets to jump on someone else. And obviously you've benefited there, getting Ogbonna's clean sheet and bonus point, and then obviously we'll mention the game later, but I brought in Holding and obviously benefited from the clean sheet there. So it's handy kind of at least hearing the gossip about this information so we don't make silly moves. And I think it was wise to stay away from Burnley in that case.
Agreed. I mean, I saw someone do that exact move from Taylor to Luton. Didn't work out for them. I mean, that is the value of being on Twitter or you getting this sort of information however you consume it, YouTube, Twitter, podcasts. So
yeah, I think a lot of people were probably doing it because of the double as well, weren't they? But you know, I'd rather collect the points now and then deal with the double later.
Yeah, I mean, I brought in the West Ham player with the fixtures for the double as well.
Yeah, good move.
I didn't really expect the clean sheet against Everton, to be honest.
Yeah. As for Everton, another game in which they haven't looked particularly threatening, have they?
No. Obviously, another blank for Calvert-Lewin, which is a bit of a concern for those that still own him. I jumped off after Sheffield United. That was enough for me. If you can't score against Sheffield United, then there's something a bit wrong.
It's understandable. He had another price drop last night as well. He's now level price-wise with Richarlison. So now people have a decision to make.
I think so, yeah. I think he's down to 7.8.
Yeah, they both are.
And of the two, you'd probably be based on current form, you'd be inclined to go with Richarlison. I mean, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, actually. The fact that Richarlison's on pens, he's potentially now the better option if they're the same price.
Yep. Obviously, providing that Gylfi Sigurdsson isn't on the pitch.
Very good point. And also, if Everton aren't playing that well, do you really want to be bringing in an Everton player? I think there's better options out there. Like Arsenal seems to be on the turn, starting to perform well again. Obviously, Saka's very cheap, so he's a bit of a low risk, really.
There's so much more value out there at the moment than there are going for Everton assets right now.
I think so.
Right, let's jump
to the next one.
Yeah, let's jump on to Man United 2, Aston Villa 1. And it was actually a really good game to watch. A little bit controversial, but United got the win in the end. Yeah,
they keep grinding out results. Much credit to Ollie for another good result here. Villa are a tough team to play as well. Good performance from sort of Jack Grealish, but they didn't really have enough. It's good to see Traore getting a goal because he's quite a greedy player, but this time it actually paid off for him.
It did, yeah. Bloody good goal.
Yeah, very
Very
skillful
good goal.
player, but I'd wish he passed more as if I was a Villa fan anyway.
No, agreed. And obviously, excuse me, you've touched on it there, but United have obviously found form. They've got 4 wins in the last 5, and obviously a draw between that. They've got a game in hand, and they're now level on points with Liverpool.
Exactly, they're in a very good position. Level with Liverpool. I mean, who's to say that they can't make a charge for the title this season? Yeah, like you don't really think of them as title contenders in terms of their squad. Like other than Bruno Fernandes, you don't really think of them as that kind of elite quality like you do with Man City and Liverpool. Obviously, City have not had the season they'd expected either.
No.
But I think the fact that they're still in contention, well in contention in January, is encouraging for them.
Oh, massively. And obviously they had such a slow start as well, that people were immediately questioning whether Ollie was the right man to take them on. And obviously, yeah, he has his moments, some interesting managerial decisions, but he seems to be getting things right now. Obviously, they've now kind of reintegrated Paul Pogba back into the team, and we're finding out slowly that he can actually play in the same team as Bruno Fernandes, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. And obviously, in fairness, dubiously, he won the pen, and then Bruno steps up and slots it home.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't say it was a pen, but I mean, it's been given, they've got it, and obviously Bruno scored it. So it gives the team confidence, I guess, that they know if they can win a pen, that chances are it's going in the back of the net.
Yeah, for sure.
Mean, like if Rashford's charging into the box, he's going to be, if he feels a bit of contact, he's going to go down, and it's going to be given, especially with VAR now.
Exactly. You don't win pens unless you go down, and I know that's the wrong mentality to take, but that's life in football at the moment.
Yeah, sadly, that's the way it is. Until they do something about simulation, obviously Planet FPL mentioned the lack of yellow cards for simulation this year, and it's still very low. It's still probably under 5 cards that have been given for simulation.
It's not great at all. And even when they review a decision occasionally on VAR and decide that it wasn't a penalty, and you can see it's a clear dive, a ref hasn't dealt with it and they haven't booked the player.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because it's quite frustrating. You see it on the video, you're like, oh my fucking God, how has he tried that?
Yeah.
Like, be it Grealish, be it whoever. And yeah, there's no action for it. No, nothing retrospective, nothing in the game, during the game. Like, surely if you can see that on a monitor, just you can give them a booking there and then.
100%, exactly. And when are you going to decide that bringing in Bruno Fernandes is a good idea?
It's been in my head as a good idea for like the last 8 weeks. I was so close between him and Salah, and I went Salah, and clearly over the last 3 game weeks, that's definitely a bad decision.
Yeah.
But you look at the West Brom, Newcastle, Southampton. Come on, Salah against those.
Yeah, exactly. It's especially, obviously coming off the bench against Palace, getting the 16-point haul, looking incredibly lively, to then go on a barren spell of 3 blanks in a row against those 3 teams. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, typical that I captained him this week as well.
Yeah, that serves you right for captaining him against us, mate, but we'll come on to that.
We definitely will.
Right, let's jump on to Spurs 3, Leeds 0, in a thoroughly enjoying game to watch.
Yeah, a very, very good display. As is every Leeds game, it's an entertaining game to watch. But a fantastic performance from Spurs, both defensively and going forward. I think Harry Kane's still doing that kind of KDB, but for Spurs role very well. Spraying some great passes around, and also got a pen, which he's kind of due a pen, I feel. And that's why I sort of held him in my team and put it away.
Exactly, yeah. I captained him this week and obviously was the beneficiary of his goal and an assist, and obviously having Son on my team as well, that really helped me this week. But Kane's bowl to Son was unbelievable. Their partnership is incredible.
It really is. Like we used to be worried when we'd see Kane in deeper positions, but I'm not anymore.
No.
I feel capable that he can get assists and score. He used to score sort of long shots outside the box, but assists weren't really part of his game too much. Whereas now, I feel confident wherever he is on the pitch. So it's going to be really hard for me to potentially take him out of my team to say get a Fernandes, because he's performing well. He's the best striker in the game at the moment, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a worry of mine because obviously they don't double, and I need Man City players, but to fund De Bruyne, I realistically have to take out both Kane and Son, and I'm not sure I want to do that. I'm debating with myself whether I remove Salah, but I don't know if that's mad because Liverpool obviously have the double. You know, I'm potentially taking out a whole load of points to bring in De Bruyne. I've no idea. It's Sheffield United.
Real dilemma. Yeah, because say Kane goes and scores 2 goals and 1 assist against Sheffield United.
Yeah,
he can get 18 points out of that.
Yep.
You get a Salah who gets, say, 3 in one game, 6 another. That's 9 points. That straight away, even with the double, Kane's got more points.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got such a good fixture. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that sometimes you can be blindsided by double game weeks. And yeah, ideally right now, looking at form as well as the fixtures, you don't want to be taking out Kane and Son for a plum tie against Sheffield United.
Yeah, exactly. And also, you're going to want them back in your team afterwards, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%.
So it kind of doesn't make sense. So I'm more inclined to keep them. But then, where does Fernandes come from for me? I've got to someone.
Salah to Fernandes,
Salah or Grealish. Yeah. I mean, I want to do Grealish, but he's got two fixtures. I think he's capable of quite a bit in two games.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I'm worried about not owning Grealish for that period. That's for sure.
It's tricky, and I'm going to end up without Fernandes. And be keeping myself.
Well, exactly, and even looking at Spurs fixtures now, obviously there's red in there, but it's Sheffield United away, obviously the one we're talking about. Then they play Liverpool. I think they could get something there. They then play Brighton, who are attacking. I think Spurs can counter-attack. Chelsea aren't exactly the best team at the moment, and then they've got West Brom before they play Man City. Kane and Son are still going to score and assist during that period.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm confident with Spurs and those two players in particular in any game. Any game, home or away.
Oh yeah, easily.
I've held them for quite a while.
Whereas Leeds, I mean, for all their attacking intent, I think they were potentially unfortunate not to score, but I don't think they ever looked like winning this game.
No, it's tricky because it's so good to watch. But then, if they're not getting results, ultimately, it's not good. So, I mean, Alioski looked okay. Obviously, he
struggled.
He gave away the. Did he give away the pen?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he gave away the pen. Yeah, because I think I saw someone on Twitter jinx him actually. he tweeted about him and then said he was playing well and then he gave away the pen.
Oh dear. I mean, Leeds will be safe. I mean, they'll finish mid-table and they're always going to win games by 3 or 4 or lose by 3 or 4. I don't think there's genuinely going to be any middle ground other than that City game that we got to watch, which could have finished 3-3 in fairness. But I think for Leeds, in terms of their assets, the ones I want to be on and still be on, you know, the likes of Rafinha, Rodrigo, Bamford. I'm not sure I'd really be inclined to be moving defensively for them at the moment.
No. Other than Dallas. Dallas is like an anomaly, to be honest, because you feel confident of him getting an assist or a goal from defence.
Yeah. No, good point.
Whereas obviously the others, you don't have that confidence in, say, Ayling or Alioski.
No, not at the moment.
Yeah, so I agree with you there. I think Dallas or Bamford, or obviously if you've gone Rafinha, I wouldn't. I'd probably just stay with Bamford, to be honest. And I feel like that's enough.
Don't go dissing Rafinha, mate.
I think it's a bit of a hype train.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, we got the initial return, so it's fine.
We'll see how it goes.
Right, let's move on to the next game. And it was obviously another loss for Sheffield United. Crystal Palace 2, Sheffield United 0.
Yeah, another loss. We say it every week. I mean, I saw someone create a season keepers drinking game.
Oh, yeah, they did.
So I think one of the shots was related to Sheffield United losing.
Yep,
Um,
absolutely. I've got that drinking game here. Let's just quickly give the listeners a run through, but it was hilarious to receive this. Apparently, someone made this drinking game over Christmas. It was a friend of the show. So you take 2 shots every time Matt says, "That's FPL for you." 2 shots anytime Sheffield United are a disappointment. Again, so drink. 3 shots if James captains Son. You didn't do that this week, mate.
yeah,
3 shots whenever a pet is mentioned, seen on camera. Well, we've already spoken about Ash, and inevitably your cats are going to pop up in a minute. 2 shots if Southampton win their fixture. Well, you guys are going to be drinking at the end of this. And 1 shot every time you hear the word mate. I love that. Really love it.
yeah, pretty spot on as well, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Mate.
I mean, it shows they pay attention, doesn't
It does, it
it?
does. But on to the game.
Yes.
Eze,
Oh,
goal for Eze. Fantastic goal as well.
stunning goal. Just
From his own half.
he didn't even start the game. That's the thing, and obviously came on following injury, and still continues to look exceptional. And yeah, it's one of those goals where he just looks up, sees the space. It's almost like, I guess, Son-esque. Looks for the space, doesn't see that he's got any option, and just drives, and then slots it home. Brilliant goal.
Yeah, really good goal. I mean, if I was a Zaha, I'd feel quite confident going forward with Eze coming back in
Yeah.
terms of returns, because Eze's going to be in the mix, be it assisting Zaha or scoring with Zaha assisting.
Yep.
So things are looking good for Palace going forward anyway.
No, for sure. And I've seen a lot of people moaning about Palace, Gaita, for instance, because Palace continued to not keep a clean sheet previously. And he was quite a heavily owned Sky goalkeeper. So many people have moved off of him, and now suddenly they're keeping clean sheets again.
Yeah, and recently had a pen save, didn't he? So
Yes, he did. Very much so, sir.
They can feel hard done by.
Yeah. God, yeah. Whereas Sheffield United, just continue to look bereft of confidence. I even seen rumours going around of the manager walking. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but it genuinely wouldn't surprise me. I don't know what's going on at that club, and we talk about it time and time again. But I think on the last pod we mentioned now's the time where they've got to make a decision whether they're planning to fire in to stay in the league. I think it's very unlikely. 2 points from this many games, 17 games is not great. And then you've got the case of, all right, well, do they plan for the championship? And is Wilder the man to kind of bring them back up?
Yeah, I think so. That decision does need to be made because, yeah, they can't go on like this. There's a bit of uncertainty. If they know they prepare for the championship, prepare with Wilder, then they know then that that's the case. He's going to be in charge next year, and then whatever happens, they might even start to perform a bit better if they get that little bit of certainty, either by removing him or backing him, and then backing him even in the championship.
Exactly.
I think, yeah, if they're not going to back him in the championship, they might as well get rid of him now.
Yeah, no, fully agree, and it'll be interesting to see if any decisions made, in the coming weeks. Obviously, now that the transfer window's open, so
it would make sense to get rid of him now.
Yeah,
if they were going to do it.
Agreed. Right, let's move on to what I thoroughly enjoyed watching this whilst the dog sat next to me was Brighton 3, Wolves 3.
Yeah, another pet mention there.
Had to get it in.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
Good goal for Dunk.
Yes, very good goal for Dunk. Sorry, you cut out there. Yeah, brilliant goal. Dan Burn, on the other hand, had an absolute nightmare of a first half. Obviously, scoring an own goal, giving away a pen, and Traore was just running rings around him.
It certainly was. I mean, obviously, he's not the most agile player, 6'7". I mean, he's relatively fast for his height, but yeah, Traore obviously going to run rings around him. And the own goal was very unlucky, reminiscent of Richie, except instead of the face, just off his legs, and there's not much he could do about it.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, it's one of those games that I think he just wants to completely forget. An own goal, giving away a pen, booked, doesn't get the win. You kind of just sit in the bath, reflect on it, and then forget about it.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jonathan Woodgate's debut for Real Madrid.
Yeah, very much so. That's a
He
blast
can
from the
get things
past.
off.
Yeah, but it was a really good game. I thought Wolves, in the first half in particular, were dominant. Brighton struggled to get into the game. And in the second half, Brighton really came out fighting. Obviously, Mopé scored, put his pen away. Connolly obviously had that initial goal in the first half, and then you had Dunk basically pulling it and getting his goal. I seen from Mopé, he did an interview afterwards, and he was basically claiming that in the dressing room, he was telling them all, that how poor they were and the fact that they need to show more fight and be a bit more resolute. And if that's the case, it's worked because they come out fighting.
Yeah, no, a very good comeback for them, to be honest, against a pretty decent Wolves side. I didn't really see a 3-3 coming in this game,
No.
but I mean, those that own sort of midfielders and strikers in the game will be happy. I don't think too many of us own Brighton defenders. I think it's more those a few on Semedo maybe, but yeah, looking good for Neto again.
Well, yeah, and obviously you're talking about defenders there. Even though they've conceded 3 goals, Roman Saiz has got a 7-pointer because he's scored. And that's his second goal in 3 games because obviously he got a goal against Spurs as well.
Yeah, I think we're ignoring Saiz because he had that time where he missed out.
Yeah.
You're in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, he could get rotated again. He could get dropped again. But the thing is, he is playing quite well now. So potentially he might become more nailed than, say, Bolly. Because Bolly's moved to form. So potentially Saiz might be more, not nailed, but more first team now.
It's a funny one because, he played the first 6 games. And then in the 6th game, he then got subbed. I think it was after 67 minutes. And then he didn't play the next 5 at all. And then he's come back and he's played 90 minutes in the last 6 games again. So for me, I think he should be in the team now.
Yeah, and obviously he's a threat going forward. Like he's scoring some good headers. I think it's definitely one worth considering, especially if Wolves get a decent fixture run.
Oh, absolutely. And he's only 5.1 million. So can't be really complaining about that. I think, it wouldn't surprise me if people potentially aren't targeting, double game week players. They play West Brom at home in game week 19. So if you did want to go for a punt and not necessarily have someone playing that's got a double, then perhaps Saiz is one to gamble on.
Potentially, although I'd approach the West Brom fixture with caution because it is a derby and I feel like West Brom will be up for that. They might score. I can't imagine them not scoring.
You'd like to hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I'm sure West Brom fans would.
All right, well, let's move on to the last game of the day and a rather snowy affair. West Brom 0, Arsenal 4.
Yeah, very hard to see if you watch the game in the second half.
Yeah.
Bit chaotic, but wow, what a show from Arsenal. And what a turnaround in the last couple of weeks. We started with the win against Chelsea and it's continued now. And fair play to Arteta because he was under a lot of pressure and he's turned it around.
Yeah. Brilliant. I mean, whatever's gone on, behind closed doors there, I think it's been for the right reasons. Obviously, we've seen the likes of David Luiz and stuff drop out of the team, Willian, who rumoured were obviously questioning his leadership. So what he's done is he's got rid of them. He's got the likes of, Holding, kind of Smith Rowe has obviously come into the team. He's playing more of that creative role. And ever since Smith Rowe's come into the team, Arsenal have won. And I don't think, there's any doubt that he's had a part to play. And he's got 3 assists in the last 3 games.
Yeah, very good point. I think there's a lot more hunger in them. I mean, and less egos. It feels like
massively.
Yeah, like with the youth in the team and without the absence of the players like Willian and Luiz that are causing a bit of friction, that have got maybe a chip on their shoulder. I think Smith Rowe, as you say, has come in and done a great job. And really energised their midfield. So
absolutely. And I mean, for those that want to take a punt, obviously for the blank, then I think Smith Rowe is probably one to go for. He's 4.4 million.
Just about to say, how much is he?
Yeah, 4.4.
bye Anguissa.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. No, there's no reason to have Anguissa if you can get Smith Rowe. 100%.
I mean, I doubt I don't know if I want to prioritise that transfer though. To be honest, I'll probably be going operation get Bruno in my team. But
Oh yeah,
as we said earlier, there's only so many premiums you can have, and little options like this at 4.4 are the sort of gems. Like you brought in Holding this week, got you 10 points.
he did.
It's not all about Bruno Fernandes.
No, exactly.
Holding getting you 10 points.
Yeah, and to be fair, yeah, if you didn't want to prioritise that move for later on, if you are free hitting in the blank game week, you have to have Smith Rowe. I mean, 4.4 million, just surely, if you want to go triple Arsenal, for instance, and it's not something I thought I'd genuinely ever hear myself say, but I think I'll have the triple up for the blank game week.
I mean, it enables you, doesn't it? At 4.4 million, it allows you to cram in a Kevin De Bruyne and a Sterling if you wanted to do that.
Exactly that. And obviously we've got Saka as well, which you've mentioned is another brilliant option, and he's only 5.3 million.
Yeah, plenty of options for your blank game week there. Obviously, Arsenal, City teams we're looking at.
Yeah, 100%. The player that I was most impressed with, and I'm really glad to see, having kind of followed him through, his Scottish days, Kieran Tierney. He just looked unbelievable and so full of confidence this time round.
Yeah, I mean, I put him in my team at the start of the season. It's come a little bit late, but he's got his goal.
Oh, he has. He sure has. He looked so happy as well, didn't he?
He did. Not as happy as me because he literally smashed my clean sheet into pieces. Johnston in goal. I like him as a person and as a player, so I am sort of happy for him.
Agreed, yeah. And then I think the player that's benefited from, the turn of form and the fact that these youngsters have come into the field is Lacazette, 100%.
Oh, very much so. And at around 8.7 million, however much he is.
He's 8.2 million.
There you go. I knew it was one of the two. Great performance and great value, especially on a free hit. It's a sort of a classic free hit pick where you wouldn't normally pick them or transfer them in, but you just fancy them for that week.
Yeah.
And I feel like Lacazette is a prime example of a free hit player that you could go to.
Fully agreed. 4 goals in 3 games. I don't think there's any reason why you won't be gambling on 8.2 million Lacazette. Right, let's move on to the Sunday fixtures. And the first game of the day was Newcastle 1, Leicester 2.
Jamie Vardy assist I was particularly grateful out of this game. Obviously, big Andy Carroll scoring a goal.
Yeah, came on, got his goal. Wiped out that Leicester clean sheet, which was rather amusing to see it unfold on Twitter. I wasn't able to watch the game live, but to see that Justin went from 9 points to 1 point in the space of, I think it was about 60 seconds. He got booked and then obviously conceded, whereas he was on for a clean sheet and 3 bonus points at the time.
Exactly. Very, very costly for him and his owners. I brought him in on Sky, so I was a little bit annoyed as well.
No, I bet.
As I saw that as a clean sheet that game,
it was. So I own Fofana, so it was frustrating. But knowing that Justin is far more heavily owned, it was quite amusing at the same time. I was massively worried about this game though, because I'm a non-Jamie Vardy owner in both FPL and Sky. And I really, really worried, particularly for Sky, and doing quite well, which we'll discuss later. But if he had hold, my rank would have dropped massively because I think he was quite heavily captained anyway. The debate was between Vardy and KDB for the day. And obviously, City were playing Chelsea, so a lot of people punted on Vardy. So the fact they only got an assist.
I think that all day long. I was quite frustrated. I was hoping again for a 1 or 2 goal return, maybe an assist in there. But I'll take the assist. But yeah, I was hoping for more.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's better than Salah, wasn't it? So
it was. Yeah, we'll come on to that one later.
Yeah, but I think Leicester continue to look, a decent proposition. Obviously, the likes of Tielemans and Maddison, both popping up with goals in this game, both trying to provide that creative spark so they're not just reliant on Jamie Vardy.
Exactly. I mean, the more they bring in sort of back players like Maddison from injury, obviously he's been back in the team for a while now, but I think they're starting to gel again together. I think Maddison's only going to improve game on game. Yep. I think there's only going to be so long before we can't ignore him anymore in terms of an asset in the game. I think he's not talked about enough. He's been talked about a bit the last couple of weeks, but I think he is definitely one to consider. I think all the attention, Leicester-wise, goes to Vardy.
Yeah. I think he's at that really awkward price point for a midfielder as well, because he's 7.1 million. And it's one of those decisions that you've got to make, whether you gamble on a player like him or whether you do go cheaper in someone like, Saka, that we've already spoken about, that's considerably cheaper. But yeah, I think Maddison's form at the moment, he's now got 4 goals and 4 assists for the season. 2 returns in the last 3. I think he's one to potentially punt on, and they've got a double game week. So if you are really looking for that differential, then Maddison at 4.8% ownership, he's got home against Southampton, home against Chelsea. Why not?
Exactly. It's a punt. If you're behind, then you can make ground by putting in players like that. Obviously, I think a lot of people will be sort of doing more kind of, if you've got 15 million to spend, they'll get a Son for 9 million and then a Souček for 5.
Yeah.
That's the kind of deal they'll be doing.
Exactly. That's the tricky decision.
2 7 million midfielders, or you can balance, or you can go the other end, 9 and then 5, which I think more people will be doing. However,
that's the one I've got.
Exactly. However, there's not to say that a Maddison and a player like Richarlison couldn't do as much damage.
No, very true. All right, well, let's move on to the second game on the Sunday, and an absolute schooling, particularly in the first half. It was Chelsea 1, Man City 3.
Yeah, very good performance from City. Reminiscent of sort of old City, if you will, what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it was a great performance to watch, and it sort of fills you with confidence and almost terror as well with regards to bringing in De Bruyne for the double game week. Yeah. I mean, he's kind of essential now, isn't he?
Oh, has to be, surely. Like, obviously, their run for the next 6 games is incredible. They've got Brighton, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, West Brom, Sheffield United, Burnley is their next 6 games.
Exactly. I need him and Fernandes, and I don't know how it's going to happen because I also want Son and Kane.
I know. So, yeah, it's honestly there's a decision to be made.
Has to be Mo, but then he's got two good fixtures, and he can do anything in any game.
I know. This is I'm going to allow a drink here, but that's FPL for you.
Hey. Take your shots at home.
Yeah, but obviously for a period, I was worried. I captained De Bruyne in Sky particularly. When he went through 1-on-1 and then put it wide, I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again. And then City just seemed to kind of step it up a gear. Obviously, Gundogan took his goal brilliantly. Phil Foden was exceptional on the day. And then obviously De Bruyne stepped up with his goal and an assist.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned Foden. We were saying, why isn't Pep playing Foden? He plays Foden and suddenly everything clicks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure it's all down to Foden, but certainly part of it was, I feel. Obviously, there's been a bit of a change of system there. But fantastic play from Gundogan as well. 3 in the last 4, which is something you don't really associate with Gundogan.
No, I genuinely would never have expected the results that we're getting from him.
Exactly. And at 5.4 million,
yeah,
you can't really lose. I mean, if you own Stuart Armstrong or someone around 5.5 million, might as well take a punt on Gundogan, especially with the double.
You might as well, honestly. Yeah, the fact that he's obviously had 390 minutes and then obviously he got subbed when City were technically cruising. Like you said, 3 goals in the last 4 games. It's massively worth a punt, particularly, if you are struggling financially. If you want a Man City asset that's regularly now getting game time and looking incredibly confident, with whatever he's been told to play in these last 4 games, why not just go for him? As for Phil Foden, I really, really wish that Pep would play him consistently, because it's frustrating to see that he comes in, plays so well, and then, could be the prime candidate for this blank game week coming up. And then, the double if we're going to move on to a cheaper City asset. But we know inevitably he's going to miss out at some point. And the fact that they've got the cup game tomorrow, obviously we're recording on the Tuesday, Spurs play tonight. And then they've got the FA Cup game at the weekend. If he plays in both of those, then I genuinely think he misses out in the next league game.
Exactly, potentially. And that's why I won't put him in my team. Any player where I've got a doubt over them in either one game or both games isn't going to make it near my team for the double.
Nope.
You want that certainty. That's why I picked Ogbonna over the likes of Balbuena, because Ogbonna's played pretty much every game at 90 minutes. He never gets taken off unless he would get an injury or something. But yeah, he's just consistently in West Ham's team, so that I know I'm going to probably get those 2 clean sheets if he gets 2 clean sheets or 1 clean sheet.
Yeah, I'm really worried about having Balbuena in my team for this double game week now.
Yeah, I would be, because I feel like he's the one that's missing out here, especially with Craig Dawson coming in and doing a job.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's potentially Dawson's place to lose now, and it's frustrating because I'm bench boosting, and now we'll potentially have to take a hit to remove a player that I brought in because I thought he was nailed.
Yeah. No, exactly. Okay, you just stop at scratching your. That makes a load of noise. I'll edit that out.
Okay. If you've got one player that I think would be a huge punt depending on COVID, we know that Ederson is currently isolating. Whether he'll be back for the next league game, I'm not 100% sure. But if he's not, Stefan at 4.4 million is a goalkeeper for Man City when they play Brighton at home. Surely he's going to be the goalkeeper for a lot of free hit teams.
I think so. I mean, we kind of need that news that he's going to play. I mean, people obviously are waiting very late to activate their free hit. I mean, I've seen some have gone already. There's been a lot of funny tweets on Twitter about it.
Mad. Absolutely mad.
Yeah, but I think I'm saving mine right to the day before, potentially even on the day.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I don't. If any advice to give to anyone, and I've seen, quite a lot of bigger accounts giving us on Twitter, if you haven't already pressed that free hit, don't do it just yet, because we don't even know if all the fixtures are going to take place. Yes, Premier Leagues, are back in their bubble, but it's been released today that between the 28th of December and the 3rd of January, there was 40 COVID positive cases within the Premier League testing.
Exactly, and things can change. Like, we know there's a time lag with COVID, 2 to 3 weeks before you sort of see the cases and so on.
Yep.
Anything could happen between now and then. Like, you could get 6 Arsenal players test positive for COVID, and then next thing you know, the FA have got a meeting, or the Premier League have got a meeting, and then they cancel the fixtures, or even the Prime Minister overrules the whole thing.
Exactly. So, can you imagine Boris turns up and he's like, yeah, by the way, guys, Premier League football is no longer taking place.
Exactly. I mean, there'd be pandemonium among fans. I've seen the comments on Sky's Facebook. I mean, that's a cesspit, to be honest. But,
it's horrendous, isn't it?
We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, hold that chip. I mean, if you've gone already, then yeah, capitalise, take advantage of the price rises. You might as well. But my advice, Matt's advice, just hold it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, saving the best for last. Let's jump onto it. Southampton 1, Liverpool 0.
Mixed emotions.
I never thought I'd hear that from a Saints fan, but yeah, you
delighted to have beaten Liverpool. But FPL wise, bit devastated that I captained Salah and didn't captain Kane. I mean,
Serves you right.
I was very close to doing Kane or Son, but I thought there's a chance Leeds could do Spurs. I mean, you just don't know with Leeds. It could be 4-3. They could probably turn up and beat Spurs 3-0 for no reason. And that was always in my head. And I fancied Salah against us.
Yeah, when I saw the initial lineup, obviously we had McCarthy missing out because of COVID. Vestergaard is still out injured. There was no Romeu. There was no Adams. and then the bench wasn't exactly full of, renowned quality. Even Redmond was missing out through injury. I thought, oh God, here we go. Like, this is going to be a difficult game to watch. And then when we scored so early on, I was even more worried because I thought, shit, that's it. Liverpool are going to, come out, go for us. They didn't. They were honestly poor, and we were brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic team performance from us. As you say, with the personnel that was missing, completely unexpected.
Yeah.
I thoroughly expected us to lose this game.
Oh, I know. The only save Forster had to make was a real poor effort from Mane.
Yeah, it took them a while, to get a shot on target. It's crazy.
For Liverpool to get one shot on target in the entire game is woeful.
Yeah, and I think that's testament to the way Hasenhüttl set up the team, and obviously got very emotional
He did.
at the game, which is nice to see. Obviously, men have emotions too. We're not monsters,
Well
and
said.
he clearly felt that result. I mean, I know people close to his family have had COVID and so on. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but that victory's always going to mean a lot to him, and you can see that he cares about the team and the fans, and that means a lot to me as a supporter.
Yeah, massively. Honestly, I saw a couple of people slating the fact that Hasenhüttl, cried after the game. Well, fuck you, because like you say, he's got issues behind closed doors that none of us know about. All we know is he's had family members test positive for COVID. Other than that, we don't know how poorly they are. So the fact that he's able to come in, have probably the raw emotion already, and then to get the win against Klopp and watch his team defend so well for 90 minutes, he's just going to let it out, and fair play to him. Like, I love that, and the fact that he's my manager.
Yeah, it's a joy to watch, and I really hope he just stays around with us, to be honest, because the big clubs are sniping away. I see any post, Hasenhüttl from Southampton, he's doing good. He's doing a good job. Stay away.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fed with manager after manager, like moving on to bigger and better things. Well, the fact, that we're playing so well this season, we're sixth in the league. We've got 29 points. We're 4 points off top. Like, it's a season that I didn't expect us to have. There was obviously murmurings and, debate about it, given our form post lockdown 1. Christ, we're in lockdown 3 now. But for us to have then started the season so poorly in our first couple of games and to be where we are now, long may it continue.
Exactly. I'd like to mention as well, obviously Danny Ings, is he potentially now a problem going forward?
Yeah.
For our teams.
I think so.
We know what he's capable of, and he's so consistent, and at 8.3 million, he's not a bad price.
No, and particularly, obviously, we've got Leicester and Leeds both away in the double game week 19. The way that Leeds play, and obviously leaving space in behind, Danny Ings is going to get a return, surely.
I think so, and obviously he is on pens, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like, what was it, 20 odd goals last season, 22, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
He is, and a great goal.
Stunning goal.
Beautiful goal.
The goal from Prowse, it was obviously pre-planned. Trent kind of gets beaten, at that back post. Danny Ings runs in, and it's almost like, looking at the replay, Jack Stevens is almost like, what you doing? Why are you trying that? Like, if he had squared it, Jack Stevens has a tap in. But he knew exactly what he was doing, and it was a stunning lob.
Yeah, very classy finish. And another headache for us, I feel.
Absolutely. Right, well, long may that continue. Should we look at our FPL teams then, mate? So I'll let you go first. How did you get on?
So 61 points for me. A better week than last week, where I got 26. Have a listen to last week's pod if you want to hear me talk about that. But we'll move swiftly on.
Yeah.
2 points in goal for Johnston. 2 clean sheets for West Ham. Kufal on 6 or Bonner on 7. We'll gloss over Diaz and Zuma on a combined total of 3.
Love it.
Our captaincy fail, as we discussed just now. 2 double to 4. Son and Kane bringing home the bacon with 25 points combined. Grealish on 7. Vardy on 5, and Bamford on 2. Sadly, a Kyle Walker-Peters clean sheet sat on my bench.
Oh, absolutely. I
And
had exactly
4
the same.
red arrows in a row. I've fallen from 359k to 833k.
So
So I'm feeling pretty demotivated at the moment. But I'm
genuinely, we have swapped positions in the last 4 weeks, because 4 weeks ago I was in the 800k mark, and you were obviously the 300,000 mark. Whereas now we've kind of swapped, and I'm now sitting at 326k.
We've literally swapped places. I was thinking,
we have.
Yeah. Tell me your team.
Well, this week I got 79 points. I had a Holding, obviously, assisting clean sheet. What an assist that was, you know? The fact that he squares it to Tierney, and then Tierney then proceeds to just bomb on, cut back inside. You know, it's one of those assists that I'll take. But
it's about 50 miles away.
Yeah, exactly. So that's amusing. And then obviously I've got Son with his 13 points, Bruno with his 10 points, and Souček with his 11 in midfield. And then Captain Kane bringing home the bacon with 24 points. So again, Walker-Peters for me sat on the bench. Frustrating, but honestly, I didn't think we'd keep a clean sheet. So he's plumb last on my bench for that very reason. But yeah, I've seen 4 green arrows in a row now, and thoroughly enjoying climbing the ranks.
Good man. And talking of climbing the ranks, Matt's doing particularly well in Sky. Do you want to discuss Sky?
Yeah. I got 104 points this week in my main team, and that now sees a rise up to 59th overall. So 22 transfers left in that, 0.5 million in the bank. I need to look at my transfer planner, because I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to make any moves this week. Obviously, we've got the blank game week, which we'll touch on shortly. But yeah, thoroughly enjoying it. And obviously in my second team, which is still in the cup, that got 120 points this week. I did make a couple of moves. So I brought in Kane, and then took him straight out again for Salah, which was frustrating. But I brought him in, captained him, got the 24 points, and then took him out for, obviously, what I was hoping was another captaincy haul from Salah, just in case. Turns out I didn't need it, because I beat my opponent by about 40 points. So I can't be complaining.
Yeah, well, very safe anyway. Yeah, with a Salah return, you'd have been flying even higher. But yeah, fantastic performance from you in both your teams. I think I climbed the ranks slightly in my team 1 up to 22,000 with 83 points. I think I've overtook a few dead teams or teams that have completely spunked all the transfers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And yes, I've got 20 odd transfers in both teams. My other team is 6k, and that got 87 points this week. I've got nothing in the bank, but my team's well set, I feel, for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I genuinely
spread out, so it's hard to see how you're doing in this period.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Obviously, where we've got so little fixtures, obviously, in the next game week, and then we've got what is a double in FPL, but it's just an elongated 2 weeks for Sky. It's very difficult to kind of see where you are. And I was watching the ranks, and people were talking about it earlier, and like, oh my God, I've dropped 50 places, and then suddenly they rose 40 places. Because these games are day after day after day, it's, yeah, like you say, it's very difficult, because one person might have captained Son, the day before, but then don't own Vardy, and then the next person doesn't have Son but does have Vardy, and yeah, it's one of those games. But that's what I'm loving about it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it as well. I'm not even doing a good job, so
you're doing all right, mate. Don't put yourself down. I genuinely still think you should be targeting at least top 1k, particularly with that 6k team at the moment. The amount of dead teams you're going to overtake, you'll rise soon.
I hope so.
Yeah.
On to Ant-Man.
Yes, absolutely. We've got what was another very good game week, particularly to watch on the stream. As for points wise, for me, it was pretty average. I got 56 points. primarily down to returns from my Sunderland players. So I had Sullivan, Tome, and Arca all returned. So that was really useful. Obviously, Lauren did very well for me. Captain Viduka, who got a return, and then Van Nistelrooy. But it was so frustrating because I had Jaskalainen obviously sat on my bench, and then Hughes on my bench too. So that was annoying.
Yeah, that Jaskalainen also on my bench with 11 points, but I only really see it as 4 points dropped, considering we got 7 from Sullivan.
Yeah.
62 points overall for me. Ashley Cole on 4, Hippier on 5, Tome on 7. Is it getting me 10 points? I was very pleased with that. And most importantly, I took out Savarese and brought in Jason Ewell and captained him and got 16 points. So that went pretty well. Nice. Nearly did do the move instead of one shop, which would have been better. Obviously,
yeah.
Sent off.
He did. The bastard got sent off.
But very, very happy with that. And that sees a rise for me, a small one, up to 625 from 688.
Nice.
Yeah, my team's looking okay.
That's
and
right.
It's a nice break from all the COVID.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah, I saw a small red arrow down to 98 overall, which was a little frustrating, but hoping to pull that back this week. I've already made my moves this week, so I don't mind sharing them. But this week I've basically taken a punt following, the CM Fantasy video, the actual stream, and then Craig Kemp's discussions on potential assets. So I've moved out Hart, Morris, and Viduka this week. So obviously there's a pattern. I'm bored and pissed off with Leeds at the moment. And I've brought in Gareth Southgate, Petkov, and Rebrov. So Petkov and Rebrov are two that I'm targeting, particularly because that fixture seems to be the most lively. And I think that's the one we're going to enjoy the most on the stream. Looking at the sim data that's been posted in the Discord for Luke Disable. So anyone that's not in that Discord yet, I highly advise you get in for Chatman content. But yeah, there's Adam English has put together the 115 kind of sim data totals that people have posted in there. And it means that we're in for a cracker. Watford average of 1.79 goals and Tottenham 1.96. So both teams are going for each other.
Yeah, it should be a thrilling game. I own players from neither team, so I'm gonna have to. It's very much something I'm gonna have to think about looking at the sim data. I based my decision with Jason Ewell last week off of the sim data I saw.
Yep.
So chances are I'm going to do a decision based off sim data again.
Yeah, I think there's definitely teams to target. So, for instance, Arsenal look really good for the win and also good for goals. Bolton look particularly good for the win and good for goals. Chelsea look to absolutely smash Millwall. So 2.2 goal average, Millwall 0.33. So Chelsea obviously very likely for a clean sheet there as well. Man United almost averaging 2 goals a game, Leeds 0.68. So it's going to be a United battering, I think. Maybe not the week to go against the Van Nistelrooy captaincy.
Yeah, another good shout for moving off of Leeds anyway. They're home to Leeds, aren't they, Man United?
Yes, yeah, very much so. Which I think is one of the reasons. Obviously, when Leeds go away in this game, they seem to perform incredibly poorly, which is another one of the reasons why I've now moved off of both Hart and Viduka, and the fact that Hart just, we don't know whether he plays or not. So that's frustrating at a £7 million asset.
I've had him the entire season, and I don't think I can take it much more with Singh coming in for Hart. I think I'm going to have to move him on.
Yeah, agreed.
It's a lot of money as well, obviously, tied up in him.
Yeah. Well, before we move on to the questions, obviously, we've got the free hit. Not free hit. We've got the blank game week this week for FPL, and both of us are using our free hit chips, aren't we?
We certainly are. We touched on it briefly earlier that we'll be targeting Arsenal, sort of Man City, those sorts of teams. The likes of Saka, Smith Rowe, we mentioned earlier, potentially people we're going to be looking at that enable you to get that extra money to, say, double up on City attackers, maybe get a Sterling and a De Bruyne, or maybe still hold Son and Kane, because there's a certain dilemma as to whether we keep Spurs players,
Yeah,
because of the great fixture. That one fixture against Sheffield United could quite easily be better than 2 fixtures for a Salah or
yep.
even Bruno.
No,
I
agreed.
think we're overlooking it as a community, the Sheffield United fixture.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some interesting decisions to make. I've written an article for Jumpers for Goalposts, actually, which I really enjoyed writing. So El Stato on Twitter runs Jumpers for Goalposts, and he put a post out to ask if anyone getting involved, and I thought, yeah, why not? So if you want to give that a read, you can either go via our post or El Stato's, or just go straight to Jumpers for Goalposts, and there's a WordPress in which I look at the 6 matchups and potential free hit options. But yeah, I think that would hopefully be a really useful read, and feel free to give us any feedback, because it's one of the first articles I've written. So if there's any improvement you guys think, then slide into our DMs and let us know. I do have one question, James. I'm seeing teams across the FPL community in which they are saying that they're not playing the free hit chip because they've got 7 or 8 players obviously playing in the blank. Would you advise that, or would you say, if you have only 7, make the move?
I think they should still play the free hit if they're on 7. I think 8, then maybe you could hit your way into a decent team. But I think they probably sacrificed a couple of game weeks there, having the team set up like that. Whereas we've been able to not worry about this game week. We can just plan for the double because we're using that free hit in this blank game week.
Exactly.
I think they probably over the last 2 or 3 weeks will have missed out on potential returns that they would have had if they'd been able to plan for that week and this week. Whereas they've been holding on to players that they probably would have got rid of.
Yeah, and obviously I wildcarded late with the full intention of ignoring the blank and then piling into double because I knew I was going to free hit. Obviously, we've got the potential of another large double blank in the future. But genuinely, I think with the assets that we've got available for this week, I'd play your free hit chip.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed with me. So we're both on the same front with that one.
Good. Right, let's move on to the questions then. And the first question, obviously, apologies for last week, Steve. We had a bit of an audio problem, but I'm glad that you've got the question in again. So Steve asks, at what point do you think the Premier League and possibly the EFL will advocate vaccinating players to ensure the money keeps rolling in?
I think it won't be too far off, is my answer to that. I feel like it will be late spring, summer time, I'd imagine. Obviously, the priority for the country at the moment is those at risk, so the elderly, those with sort of cardiovascular diseases, and so on. But obviously, with the money that is in this game, then potentially they may fund vaccinations or provide them. I don't know. It's a bit of a sticky issue, so I reckon they'll probably wait in line in the and get them sort of whenever they're supposed to in the summer.
I think
it'd be quite a controversial issue because people will be like, why are these footballers getting them ahead of us like ordinary people? So it will seem a bit elitist.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. Controversial would be the word that would come to me, because can you imagine the kind of outpour of anger from people if suddenly you're seeing, players get a vaccination so they can carry on playing football and avoid COVID whilst people are still dying? It's a real thing, and it's affecting hundreds of thousands of people across the country now. So for Premier League to even consider that possibility, I think would be madness. And like you say, that they should ideally just wait until it's within their remit to allow the players to get vaccinated through the correct protocols and not push it. I don't care how much money is in the game. The fact that other people's livelihoods are affected by this, Premier League players should not take priority.
Exactly. So they should hopefully wait in line.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because otherwise I think a lot of people will be turned off by both the Premier League and the EFL if that happens.
Well, yeah.
Right, let's move on to
stop with regards to.
Yeah, so let's move on to FPL Buddies question. He's got a couple of questions in here, actually. I have seen quite a few managers saving the bench boost chip rather than using it for the upcoming double game week 19. Is this a good move? How do both of you intend to navigate it? And how would you navigate it if you weren't to bench boost? By the way, my plan is to bench boost in game week 19.
Okay, well, I'm agreed there that with the bench boost in 19.
Yep.
However, if I wasn't going to, and I say planning to do it in 26 or further down the line, I'd be inclined to triple captain someone in that week. So I'd be going for maybe a Kevin De Bruyne, to be honest, because Pep's come out and said that he's going to play him in both games. It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
The fixture's there. He's obviously off the back of a good game week. We know what he's capable of. And if he's playing both games, win-win. Triple captain Kevin De Bruyne.
100% agreed. You've got, De Bruyne, I think, is the standout captaincy option for that double game week, now that we know City have the double. But yeah, if you're not playing that bench boost and you do have, a suitable 11 players, then I'd be looking to make that move and at least bringing in Kevin De Bruyne with the view to potentially triple captaining him, because you want to use that triple captainship in a double game week. And if you're not going to bench boost now and save that for the future double, I don't think there's probably a better double now for City than you're going to get. And yeah, throw that triple captainship on if you've still got it.
Definitely. I'm almost envious of the idea, to be honest.
Oh, I know. Now I'm kind of watering at the mouth at the prospect of like 3 goals and 2 assists for Kevin De Bruyne as a triple captain. Inevitably, it'll probably be a goal and an assist across both. But can you imagine 3 goals, 2 assists, triple captain? Wow.
Beautiful. The stuff that dreams are made of.
Absolutely. Particularly for those Mane triple captainers from last season. Obviously, you. Yeah, exactly. That's why I raised it. The pain that caused. Can you imagine the jubilation if you then get it right this season?
Oh, I feel like Shawshank Redemption, to be honest.
Oh, that's a great reference. All right. Well, on that wonderful note, I think it's probably time to end the show. It's been a pleasure talking, James.
And it's goodbye from me.
Yep. Goodbye from me. Cheers, guys.